The current 5G hostage situation, Friday, May 30th, 2025. Cell phones often get marketed as a great collector of other technologies because no one wants to use them as just a phone. Not when there's cameras, GPS, calculators, and all the other things that you couldn't hold in the backpack, let alone the front pocket of your jeans. But what hasn't happened, though, appearing to be so, is the culmination of all these devices into one device. What we didn't get was a pocket-sized thing that was a calculator and a GPS and a calendar and the internet to boot. What we got was a hostage situation with all these things in the hands of one device. It may not look like that now because of the slow and steady adjustment to our confines. But make no mistake, try to live in a world without a smartphone these days is next to impossible. That's why there's a market to a smartphone's ubiquity, as well as a corresponding market to give it up entirely. But that's not actually what the hostage wants. What he wants is to be able to use a calculator without having to answer phone calls anywhere on the planet. He wants to use a calendar without social media dooming his scroll. And what he really doesn't want, if we're being honest, is a dumb phone instead of a backpack full of gear and a smartphone. And when you tally up these wants, you see what he really wants is a smartphone that he controls. There it is. The control of the hostage situation is bound up in the people they bind in order to make the demands before releasing the hostages. Yeah, a gun helps, but there's no way Apple and Samsung are working on that app. They're not that dumb, so they stick to whatever digital rope and data plans necessary to keep us locked into the use of a smartphone, at least until the Stockholm Syndrome sets in. But when we play this out, how the smartphone keeps its hostages bound, we find out that the rope is nothing more than secondhand conveniences. Why have your own road atlas when you can have Google Maps that's the entire public has access to? There's no good answer to this singular question, and that would get you packing paper instead of an app. Except that when you ask that question about everything a smartphone sticks into the cloud or the app store, the fibers coalesce and all of a sudden you have a rope and a gun to your head. Give me all your money and no one gets hurt. How did that happen? I was just trying to do my online banking. Why am I lost? I was just following the online map. Why did I get hacked? I thought I had online security. Well, honey, you had none of these things. You actually only had being had. And the only way out is seizing the kind of control that can seem impossible as a civilian, as wrestling a gun away from the bad guys, so that they can free the hostages. It looks easy on any given Netflix special until you take jujitsu classes and find out that digital can't hold a candle to a rear naked choke. All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. 1 Corinthians 6:12. Right now, smartphones hold a powerful hold on the population, but not a moral one. When they've been mostly peaceful to their owners, there is still a threat of why they do this. There is still a threat of what they'll do to us if they ever need to or wanted to. A myriad of ubiquity in maps, apps, and games is worthless if your teenager can still get addicted to porn on the very same device. No father alive wants his son lost without a map, broke without a bank card, and stranded without a rideshare. But those same fathers should want their sons to walk the long way home, both ways, uphill, in the snow, if it meant that they would never see a pair of tits on anything except for the girl that they were marrying. These screens didn't need to come with these kinds of costs, but do, because rope is useful and harmless until it's used for evil, and then it can't be anything but a means of imprisonment. Maybe one day, in the fine golden age of the cellular phone, that rope could have been used for climbing up mountains and keeping the kayak tied to the roof of the car. But now it's only a subtle means to keep you on your phone for everything you do, including the way you find yourself staring at tits. Until a smartphone comes out that can, as methodically, keep you away from porn as it does a paper map, you should be suspect about its motives and capabilities, the same way you should be if a man in a trench coat enters your bank right behind you. Which is why, by the common grace of God, Control-Shift-N brings you to one, a man in a trench coat, at least in Chrome browser, and let that remind you every time you see it of the convenient situation you're actually in.